What's going on, family? Welcome back to Israel's Movie Reviews. And today we're going to be discussing a movie, a mind-bending trip that I saw back in 2004. I was actually in high school and I just revisited it now. And it's called The Butterfly Effect. And from 2004, and it stars Amy Smart. It stars our friend Ashton Kutcher as Evan Treborn. And man, this movie was just a psychedelic trip back then. And rewatching it, I just can't believe, this film wasn't talked about more. I think it's one of Ashton Kutcher's best work. To this day, he's really famous for the Punk'd show and Dude Was My Car. But this movie, to me, cemented his status in Hollywood. Wow, I was at a loss for words to describe this movie. This movie was high octane. It was tantalizing. It was a brain stimulating movie. The acting, excellent. The plot, I feel, was superb. The story, that aspect was great. The drama, the suspense was mind-numbing. How the writers were able to put the story together so flawlessly was a delight to see. It was amazing. And I don't know how the director was able to actualize it, because in my mind, I don't know how I would be able to put this into a picture, let alone even just words on the paper, which is even more amazing. But they managed to do it, to pull it off. There was plenty of visual stimulation in this film, as well as a mental stimuli, as you waited to see the outcome of each alteration made by the main character. In this film, he tries to pretty much fix the past and tries to undo things that he felt shouldn't be done. In consequence, he figures this thing out, which we call the butterfly effect. Ashton Kutcher in this film plays a man by the name of Evan Treborn, a troubled man who suffered blackouts as a child. And he doesn't know why he suffers these blackouts, until one day he discovers a way back to travel back into the body of his past self. His time trips start to cause negative results in the present. And as he uses his powers to try to fix his past and present, the effect escalates and creating these alternate realities, which of many are worse than the past that he's trying to change. This was a very surprising movie, very unique. Nowadays everybody's talking about the multiverse and things like that, but this movie was an original. This movie basically spoke about all that before today's time. The Butterfly Effect, to me, was a terrific thriller. If you're into thrillers, this is one of the movies to see. Definitely put it on your bucket list of movies. It keeps you on your edge of your seat. The previews, I remember back then, looked intense. And the whole film is pretty much like that. It keeps you guessing, literally, every time. It held onto the audience right at the start, and it didn't let go until the end. That's the way I felt while watching the movie. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see this in the theater. I saw it when it got to video back in 2004. But this movie really fucked me. It fucked me up. The plot is nothing new, but the execution was flawless. It offers a bunch of interesting and unpredictable twists, so it's hard to see where things are going throughout the film, which I like, because I don't like when they basically force feeding you, look, this is where we're headed, and they give you those kind of clues. I'd rather, think about, damn, what could possibly happen next? And then boom, it happens, The whole film is like that in general. Just one long, engaging thrill ride. The acting, for the most part, is okay. Some people did better than others, but Ashton Kutcher was the most surprisingly. He was the actor of the movie. He definitely took this movie on his shoulders and and left with it. Even though Amy Smart to me came out as very pretty in the movie, very talented, and she plays a girl named Kaylee, pretty perfect, you know. But Ashton Kutcher playing Evan did a really good job for, at that time, I think it was his first serious movie. And the only person I didn't really like was Melora Walters. You know, she was pretty good, but she was pretty wooden and very unconvincing. Besides of her demeanor and the way she was meant to be in the film, I don't know if she convinced us enough. The acting was bad in her and within that character, you know. But the acting overall was very good, very convincing, and nobody besides her did a really bad job. You know, this film was directed by Eric Brass and J. Mackey Gruber, and they did make their mistakes, but the film still came out pretty good. The critics never gave this movie a chance back then. And as soon as I heard Ashton Kutcher was in it, they all prepared to give it a thumbs down because he was known for his comedic roles. And the movie, you know, moves around a lot and it's hard to keep up, but it also keeps you paying attention. Plenty of movies have gone back and forth like this and didn't make no kind of sense. And either the beginning is done well and the ending sucks, or the beginning is a slow burn and then it gets to a really good. But this movie, from the beginning to end, is done well. Towards the middle, it starts kind of dragging a little, but it starts to pick up, and the ending is done extremely well. This was one of the best films from 2004, and it certainly stands with the test of time. Without trying to sound, kind of like a hater or a sadist, I'm gonna say, the Butterfly Effect to me does excel in presenting a consistently dark, melancholy atmosphere. Indeed, there's hardly any happy moments in the entire film, although, that may be untrue depending on which ending you actually watch. And we'll get to that a little later in this review. But any event that looks like it might provide a slim ray of hope for the main character, make things right in his head, quickly get dashed by a sudden escalation of the plot. Maintaining the viewer's interest, like I said before, throughout the whole way. The film doesn't shy away from heavy subject matter either. For example, including prostitution, murder, pedophilia, drug use, all of which culminates in an enjoyable, kind of gritty undertone in the movie. Positively, when it comes to the positives, the menacing nature of the movie isn't weighed down by any comic relief, which I liked. I liked to see him straight in his dramatic chops in this movie. I didn't want to see no comedic relief. I didn't want to see anybody taking that role. The movie didn't need any comedic relief. It was a serious movie through and through. And I like the changes in the film. The limited to the persona of the characters in the film, rather than altering the physical environment, which was definitely the professional path to take. They do well with their characters. The pacing is another strength of the film. For a film that comes in well under 2 hours, the directors deserve credit for packing a lot in that time. Even though I don't feel like anything was rushed or anything was congested, I think they did perfect with the time that they utilized. The film could have actually been 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes longer, but I think to take out the fluff, even though the movie didn't have much fluff, they kept it within their reach. And also, certainly, some thrillers benefit from slow-moving scenes, right, to draw suspense. And this movie definitely benefits from that as well. Like Eyes Wide Shut, for example, who does that a lot in that film. The Butterfly manages to combine compounding urgency with engaging character development in constructing a fast-moving film that requires both thought and stamina to decipher without being needlessly confusing, which I thought was a highlight, you know. But oddly, the film possesses four, like I was mentioning before, final scenes. And so the lasting message of the movie may differ depending on the copy that you viewed. You know, my favorite ending is the official one that was applied to the theatrical release. It's satisfying, yet open-minded, as the case with its alternate cut. Another is another upbeat and illogical, perhaps suggested in the editing room as a way to appease, you know, confused screen test viewers back when the movie was going to be let out to the theater. But if you really want to go down, to me, the right way, go with the director's cut. It's a far more morbid conclusion with a surreal twist. And if you're intrigued, definitely that's the version to get. You know, don't let me stop you. There's nothing I love more than these thrillers, man. And you should definitely go check this movie out. I gave this movie 8.5 out of 10. And wow, it really, after you know, viewing it recently, it really got me. It's one of those movies where you do want to see over and over again, but you got to give it some time. You got to leave it breathe, because it was that good. You know how these writers were able to put the story so flawlessly together. I don't know, and how the director was able to do it. You know, but the movie kept me guessing, and it kept me at the edge of my seat. You know, the writers definitely outdid themselves, and they made sure that they gave us a movie that they really cared about, that they gave a fuck about, you know? And it didn't have some lame ending. It actually ended on a positive note. The ending to me was the icing on the cake, and it capped out what should be mentioned as a classic. Yeah, I put this movie up there. And if you disagree with me, please let me know in the Discord what you thought about this film. I urge you to go check it out if you haven't. If you did, let me know what you thought about it. Was this Ashton Kutcher's best role to date? Yeah, I think so. But thank you for listening to the review. Look forward to you watching my future reviews. And if you like this video, hit that notification bell, hit that like button. And if you want more content from me in the future, all you gotta do is subscribe. Peace. Till the next one.